What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing? I'm just sharing the live out real quick. I got through the whole documentary, and a lot of stuff I knew already in that documentary, and a lot of stuff I lived it. Um, I remember going to the Budweiser Summer Jam a long time ago when Big Daddy Kane was the headliner, and Biggie and Tupac came out. I remember that. This is before the beef started. Um, It's a lot of stuff I remember, just throughout the years. A friend of mine I went to high school with actually worked for Diddy, and he's a photographer now in New York City. Um, some of this stuff I didn't know. I didn't know, Justin's mother, Misa. I didn't realize that he started messing with her from Eric Sermon. She used to mess with Eric Sermon first from EPMD. I didn't know that. That I didn't know. And I learned that from this documentary. One thing I could say is from this documentary, Homeboy was off the hook. Homeboy was off the hook, man. And I'm gonna have a link if anybody want to come on. I got the link for you to come on and talk about it as well. But Homeboy was off the hook. And here's what happens. Somebody told me this a long time ago. What's the difference between a person without millions of dollars and a person with millions of dollars? What's the difference? Well, one, the difference is they have access to a lot of other things, right? And number two, the money heightens who they already are. So whoever you are on the baseline, if you have $1 million, it will heighten that. Whoever you are in the core of the baseline, whatever you are, whatever your foundation is. And we all are like that. I'm not trying to say I'm holier than thou than Puff. We all have our vices and problems throughout, this life we live in. But in the documentary, they even talked about the because when he was early on, when he was younger, I remember him dancing for Father MC. If anybody remember that, press one. I remember that's when I first remember him. He dancing for Father MC, and I remember the college massacre at City College. I actually remember that, and I remember him always on Ralph McDaniel's show, Video Music Box. I remember I go far, I go that way back. And guess what? I remember him at Club 88. A lot of people like, Max, what you talking about? Club 88 it was on Evergreen Place. Yes. That's where Video Music Box used to be at sometime. And I remember he'd do a party there. So I go that far back. I have a really good memory with certain things. I have a good memory with certain things. Like I remember Club 88. A lot of people like, damn, if you from the tri-state, if you from not just the tri-state area. Yeah, if you from when we say the tri-state area, we're not just talking the whole New Jersey. We're talking northern Jersey when we say tri-state area. Because if you from that, well, no, if you from the Essex County area and you about my age, you remember Club 88 on Evergreen. If you don't, let me refresh your memory. Yes, it was a Club 88 on Evergreen. And so I go back that far remembering him. And then he worked for Uptown Records. You know, he had dropped out of Howard University. He worked for Uptown Records for a while, then he got fired, and then the rest was history. He was a really big part of that new sound with Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, and all that stuff. And so I remember that era really. I remember that era. So okay, so when Biggie and look, let me go back further for a minute with Tupac. Tupac, I remember him walking up and down the street of Park Avenue in East Orange. Because you know, Park Avenue, if you go far down, it turns into Newark. Now, where Naughty by Nature live at, they live on the East Orange side. So he used to stay at Tretch House. And he used to go up and down the street. I used to be on the porch of my boy Sean house, rest in peace to him. We used to sit out there on the summer and late nights on his porch because they had a nice porch on Park Avenue. And we used to see him walking up and down the street because he used to go to the corner store to buy Black and Miles. This is Tupac. I remember that. And I didn't know he was Tupac at the time, though. I didn't. And then eventually after that, shortly after that, I started seeing him pop up on TV and music and all that, just like that overnight. And I was like, that's that guy Tupac or whatever. Well, that's the guy. I didn't know his name was Tupac. I'm like, that's that dude that used to walk up and down the street. Oh, and by the way, his dad passed away a few years ago. His blood dad. He lived in Newark. And back in the day, I remember my boy Doug, rest in peace to him. He was like, "Yo, they go Tupac dad there." We were at the Paradiso strip club. It used to be called the Paradiso. We since there and Cinderella's. All right, so I remember Tupac going up and down the street, and he used to be at Tretch House. And how he met Tretch was on the road. You know, Queen Latifah was touring, and Tupac was working with the Digital Underground, and Tretch was on tour with Queen Latifah. That's how they met. And Tupac was a dancer for the Digital Underground. Then next thing you know, he started doing his own thing. So I go back that far with this whole crew, and then also Fatal from the Outlaws. They from Montclair. They from this street called New Street off Bloomfield Avenue. And my friend Robin, I think she's listening. She know them. She went to school with them. That's how I remember. So if she's listening, she was like, "Oh shit, damn, your mind." I go way back with my memory. I do. I have a really, really good memory. Not like Antoine's in here though. Me and him we compete sometimes. I just remember what I want to remember. I guess that's what it is. I have selective memory. but my selective memory is really good with what I want to remember. But so I just say all that to say this. I remember the early beginnings. And my boy Frank, Antoine, you remember Frank? We went to high school with. He worked for Diddy. He worked for Diddy in the 90s, early 2000s. So now I'm looking at this documentary knowing what I know. And I didn't know that Diddy was off the hook like this. I've heard rumors about him that he was kind of like, he was off the hook. That's what people used to say. But he was kind of, I hate to talk about people like this, but I'm just saying, calling how I see it. He was like a weirdo type of guy, but I don't mean it in a bad way. But he had a lot of money, which made him dangerous. People like him are dangerous. When you have the mentality where you feel like you're better than everybody and you can do whatever to anybody, you're dangerous. He's a dangerous person. And I believe a lot of people enable him throughout the years, and they just had enough of him. He pissed somebody off. That's for sure. I know. I don't know for sure. I'm not in his business, but I think so. It wasn't meant for him to just get the little time that he got. It was meant to bury him alive, but he survived it. He had good enough lawyers, and the jury, which we were going to talk about in a second. The jury wasn't buying Cassie all the way, and they definitely didn't believe Capricorn Clark. They didn't believe her. The whole kidnapping story, they didn't believe it. I didn't believe it either. Yeah, I mean, I'm not watching with no biasness, but I'm just calling how I see it and how I see it. Um, he he went too far. He did. And and this is another thing that he had. He had a lot of enablers, a lot of yes men. And typically people with money like that, they have yes men around them because people don't want to run the risk of pissing these people off and then your money cut short. And then your money cut short. That he was like the whale for a lot of people. Yep, he was the whale for a lot of people. And if you piss him off, he fire you. Now the prestige of hanging around the industry, because he had a lot of access to a lot of people, that cuts off. And we heard that throughout the trial when people testified, when Capricorn Clark testified, when Cassie testified, when Deontay Nash testified, which was Cassie's stylist. Her friend testified. They all talked about it. They didn't want to give up that lifestyle, really. So they had to pretty much be yes people. And that's to his detriment. And it's really his fault because he allowed it. And I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think that I think he's gonna come out of this. Um, he's gonna come out of this not the same. He's not gonna be the same. He is actually gonna be, I think, for the worse. I hope I'm wrong on this. Um, I don't know if he's gonna come out and seek revenge and stuff like that because he got 5 years hanging over his head once he get out. And if he violate, he got to go back. But he also he lived a certain lifestyle for such decades that he was in his own world. He had lost a sense of reality, with the drug use and everything. Because imagine, some people got a drug habit, but imagine he can get drugs all day long and never run out of money. So you know he gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? He got enough money to where he ain't gonna never run out of drugs. Think about that. And I'm gonna tell you something. Somebody told me about these rich people. Once you reach the type of wealth where nothing excites you anymore, like taking a trip doesn't excite you anymore because you could take a trip whenever you want. Buying a car doesn't excite you anymore because you can buy a car whenever you want. You have plenty of them. They tend to want to do things sexually to powerless people. That's what gets them off. Okay. And it's not just Diddy. You hear about these clubs. I can show you a club in New York. I had passed it the last time I was there the other day. There's a club out there where it's only members only. And I heard some stuff that goes on in there. And you know, they that's their drug. They want to do stuff sexually to people that have less power than them. Or you might hear about powerful men wanting to be dominated. That's how they get off at this point. A lot of them. They become so jaded in life. That's what happens. That's what happened with Puff. And he probably will not disagree with me on this because think about this. He had a woman at his every beckon will have a freak off at his every beckon. And she was pretty too. He got so used to it. And let me tell you this, there's nothing wrong with having a freak off like what he was doing. That's not wrong. That's not illegal. Okay. It's nothing wrong with that. But it's how he was doing it. She was just only her only job, even she said on the thing, she was a sex worker. That's what she said. And he started paying for her lifestyle. He started paying her bills. He got her hooked on drugs. It was hard for her to leave at that point. So there was a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, about this whole see. I went to the trial actually. So I have a different perspective here. I actually went to the trial every day and I saw the documentary. So I have both perspectives. I've seen his face in court. I see how he was looking at her. She didn't look his way. Um, like I said, nobody's perfect. Like I'm not knocking him for his freak offs and stuff like that. That's just his what he do in his bedroom is what he do in his bedroom. But how he did it to her is it's almost like he entrapped her. He groomed her and entrapped her. That's what happened. And you might say, well, she could have left at any time. Of course she could have, but she was hooked on drugs. Where is she going to get drugs 24/7? It requires money. And so it's a little hard to break away from that vicious cycle. It's very hard. But like I said, I know people say that she should take accountability as well. I get it. But once you hooked up on that and it clouds your way of thinking. Um, like I said, yeah, she could have left at any time. I get it. But that's what he did. This is what got him in trouble. He was always conniving and going after people, even since the early beginnings. He's very insecure. He's a very insecure person. Not that saying that's a knock on him. A lot of people are insecure, but he's very insecure. You might say, damn, he got all the money in the world, this and that. Listen, that doesn't look, let me just say this. There's certain things in life money can't buy. Money cannot buy if you're insecure. It can't fix that. It's a mental thing that you have to work on. You ever heard of Gil Scott Heron saying that the revolution will not be televised? You ever heard of that? Well, he denoted something in the Bible. It said that King Solomon's temple was built in silence. Now, what does that mean? King Solomon's temple was built in silence. The revolution would not be televised. You know what they're denoting? They're denoting the mind. The mind is always built in silence through meditation and self affirmations. That's how you build a high level of self efficacy. It's through those days of when you're talking to yourself in silence. You can literally change your outlook of your life overnight. Who you were 20 years ago is not who you are now. I don't care how you grew up or whatever the case is, or who or where you are right now at this particular moment in time at this date. I don't care what your situation is. How you feel about yourself and what you're thinking and your affirmations is everything. That changes your world. It's mind, not mind over anything. But in order to build that high level of self-efficacy, the mind has to be built in silence. That's what they say. The revolution will not be televised because what he was saying was if everybody changed their mindset, there can be a revolution, but the revolution is not going to be televised. King Solomon's temple was built in silence. That's allegoric. You know, the Bible was written in allegory, meanings behind signs and symbols and words, right? That's how it was written because you know why it was written that way? Because they didn't want the message to get into the common folks' hand. That's why. Um, so Puff, it's up to him. And even like I say, Cassie, I don't knock her either because who she was 10 years ago don't mean who she is now. That don't define who she is now. Now, some people seem to think, well, things that I've been through, that makes me who I am now. That is true. But once you want to actually redefine yourself, that's not always the case. You can start thinking about something totally different and you can become a totally different person, literally overnight. So it's up to him whether he want to change this or not. I don't know. I don't know where he is on it. And if he don't change this, he don't have to change. But if he don't change, it could be dangerous for a lot of people. So the documentary started off with him in the hotel room. And I was like, damn, how did they get this footage? That's the first thing I thought, like, how did they get this footage? This is the footage before he got arrested. You know, I guess it was confiscated at the time of arrest, I'm assuming. Or whoever was recording, maybe he didn't sign a contract with that person. That person actually owns the footage. And then that person could sell the footage. But he could, I don't know if he have any action on this. I'm not sure. I'm sure the Netflix and everybody crossed their eyes and dotted their I's and crossed their T's and dotted their I's on this. But I don't know. But I'm like, how did he get this footage? So he's in the room trying, then he contacted one of the members from Danity Kane. And she said something crazy. She said that she tried to ask him for help because she needed a lawyer and different things. She asked him for like $5,000 and he said no, he can't do it right now. But then he called her up asking for help. That's the type of person he is. He don't care about anybody. And this cannot be fixed. Like I said, the only way that could be fixed is he fix it. But if he hasn't taken the time to fix that part of his personality, he's gonna be the same way when he get out, but worse. The same way. And sometime it could have happened to something in his childhood. I remember they mentioned something in the documentary that his mother beat him. And there's levels to beatings. Everybody, if you my age, you don't got hit before, but there's levels to it. I know one of my friends I grew up with, his mother abused them. She hit them with extension cords. She hit them with extension cords. Okay, that's abuse. Extension cords, yeah, that's abuse. And so I don't know what happened in his child. I don't know if because it was his father wasn't around, or he found out how his father died and that affected him. I don't know. I don't know why he treat people the way he do. It's a reason for it though. But he process it's like like the documentary said, he processes people differently. I believe he hold grudges. That's what I got at is I believe he does. And if he does, people need to watch out. If he hasn't tried to change himself, which I don't. I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? I just don't feel like it. I don't. I feel like even in court, when his family was speaking and stuff like that, I feel like when he was speaking, it was an act. I felt like he was acting. Even though it was a good speech that he said in front of the judge, but I felt like it was still an act. Especially the way he was talking to his lawyers. If you see how even the way he was talking to his lawyers, he don't value anybody. He don't value human beings. He doesn't. And it's very hard to correct that. He has to take a certain amount of meditation, a certain amount of working on himself to fix that. If he hasn't fixed it, he's going to come out worse. Especially he don't did time in the feds too, he going to come out worse. It's a darkness on him. Um and he's never gotten it corrected. And it's only I believe the power look, watch this. Watch when I say this. The powers that be, the reason why they selected him to be a gatekeeper, because they knew he had that problem. He was already had something, he was tormented and they knew it. They don't just use everybody to be a gatekeeper. He was a gatekeeper, make no mistakes about it. He was. Yeah, he thinks everybody's beneath him, but it has something to do with his low self-esteem. But he comes out of this prison, okay? If you better hope this is not in his mind. Damn, people didn't have my back. Better hope that's not in his mind. Better hope that's not in his mind. Messi said he hired a film crew, but did not follow up with the payment. That could be it. See, the thing is, there's different kind of contracts, right? There's written contracts, there's verbal contracts. You can have a verbal contract, okay? When you have consideration, to have consideration, two or more parties have to agree to have consideration, okay? And it could be verbal. It could be a text message. But if he didn't follow up on his side of the agreement, meaning he didn't make the payment, now they own the footage. So they can do whatever they want to do with the footage. I'm sure lawyers already looked at this. I didn't fall asleep in college on that when we were talking about contracts. I didn't fall asleep that night. That's how I know this. I didn't fall asleep. I used to fall asleep in that class though. But yeah, so that's why you like, damn, how did they get this footage? But that's why. It's a reason for it. And he dropped the ball on that. The reason why he dropped the ball on it, because he wasn't thinking about no footage. He trying to scheme and stay out of jail, because that's what he was doing. He was trying to scheme and stay out of jail. Like, what can I do? He said, we got to get on social media. He said, we got to get on Instagram. That's where the people at. He's trying to already influence the jury. And he probably, and he was doing that in court. And the judge, well, just to let you guys know, because the jury was talking, right? And the jury mentioned in the documentary how he looked over at the jury. That was true. He did it multiple times and he started shaking his head and stuff like that, right, to the jury. And the judge warned his lawyer. He said, Mr. Agnifilo, if he do it again, I'm kicking him out this courtroom for the rest of the trial if he keeps doing it. The judge is very stern on that, just to let you guys know. I was there for that. And yes, he was looking at the jury shaking his head. He has this subtle shake to his head, and they showed it in the documentary. You remember in the documentary, like when he's agreeable about something, he shakes his head, like just a subtle shake. He was doing that in court. It's like a habit, maybe. It's a habit that he does. He wasn't really doing it to try to influence the jury. He really agree. He was really agreeable at that situation. What's up, Ryan? What's up, midwife? Yeah, he can do a lot of good after prison, but it's up to him though to do that good. But I'm also giving you the documentary how I felt, but I'm also giving you the behind the scenes at the trial as well because I was there. Um, and pretty much he looks the same, but he just got salt and pepper hair, as y'all see in the as you guys saw in his mugshot photo. Hey, Sharice. So he was scheming, like he called a person from Danity Kane, hey, can you help me this and that? And but he couldn't help her out when she needed $5,000 because he liked the fact that people are in need. He likes that. He's a very sadistic person. That's what I got out of that. Didn't even help her out because he's not the person to go ask for help. He's not. This is why he's in the situation he's in now. He had a bunch of yes men that could have told him about himself, but they wouldn't because they would have been something would have happened or he would have took the money from him. Now that's why he's in the situation. I'm gonna tell you guys something real quick if you don't know this. He's in harm's way. He's in harm's way. That's a very active yard he's in. He's in harm's way. If somebody just wake up on the wrong side of the bed that morning and want to do something to him, he's right there. He's right there. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna change, Ryan. I don't. Um, he was talking. I remember he was talking about, man, I ain't giving him all my money, this and that. And okay, well, he's at the right place now. He's at the right place. But the thing is, even where he is, he's gonna have yes men, even in there, because he got enough money to. You say he has a high sexual preoccupation and that revolves around him objectifying. Yeah. That was just his thing, though, how he got off. He wanted to see other women. I mean, other men satisfy his woman. He was a voyeur. And also um one of the male escorts was saying that it was one time him and Cassie was having sex, then he finished, and then Puffy, after a while, they used to go back and forth with her. And he got on top of her and she was looking at the male escort and was smirking. And then Puff was like, "What you smirking at?" And he hit her after that. I guess because the male escort was saying that, because of his small size, he wasn't satisfying her. And she was smirking. Okay. See, if that was true, that's her way of getting back at him because he's very abusive and stuff like that. But that was her way of fucking with him. Let me tell you something. This is what I have known from my experience. You might be tougher than a woman, you might be stronger, but mentally she can get you. Mentally she can get you. Mentally she can get you. That might have been her way of getting back at him because he might have been she knew he had a complex. If and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not trying to, I know this is a pause moment, but there was another guy I had talked to. I talked to this one guy. He was one of the male performers of he a cool dude too, cool brother, man. He live out in LA, cool brother, man. Really, if he listening, man, cool brother. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was giving an interview with Armand, and he said he was just sitting there, just like he was him and Cassie was going at it, and he described Puff over there, with a hoodie on, looking crazy, with a hoodie on and glasses and a bandana on, just looking crazy in a corner. And he said he was just sitting there, just like choking the chicken. And I forget how they got on this topic, but he said when he was choking the chicken, his fist covered up his whole chicken. Okay, there was nothing coming out of his fist. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I guess they put two and two together, like, damn, like he's not blessed down there like that. He's not even average. If like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how, I mean, it's uncomfortable for me to talk about it, but that's how they said it. So it could be some truth to that. That's what I'm saying to the other performer story. How he has a yeah, disrespecting a man genitals is very brutal. But see, that's the thing. Let me just say this. He might have been had power over her. He might have had power over her as far as money and physical power, but she got him mentally there. And that lasts a lifetime. Okay. He never gonna get over that. And then, like I said, what the other performer had said, he's sitting there, he had a fistful, but nothing was coming out his fist. Okay. So what is that telling you? His fist buried his member. I mean, what is that? I mean, what is that telling you, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? So for her to joke like that to the other male performer, that was to get back at him. And then what happened was he got physical with her at that point. He got physical with her at that point. So I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. He might have had millions of dollars, billions of dollars, right? But money doesn't buy respect. Money doesn't. She didn't respect him. She didn't respect him, but she had feelings for him though. It's very complicated. She had feelings for him, but she lost respect for him. And money can't buy respect. It can't. There's certain things in life money can't buy, and that's one of them. I went to Brazil a long time ago. I went to Brazil. This is back during the MySpace days. It was a poor man out there, walking the beach of Rio. Very happy-go-lucky guy. Everybody respected him out there, and everybody gave him stuff. He was homeless, made sure he ate because people respected him or who he was. He's a rich man. That's a rich man. You said he doesn't deserve the sweat off my brow. Yeah, that's how long ago it was, Antoine. When I went to Brazil, MySpace was popping. That's how long ago it was. So I know a lot of things has changed, but the point of I want to say to that is he was a broke man, but he had a lot of respect of his people. So he had more power than Puff did. But for her to sit there and laugh with another man about him not satisfying her, that was for her to get in his head. And it did get in his head. It did because he sat there and he kicked her after that. He said, "What the F you smirking about?" And this came out in court. This came out in court. No, did it come out in court? Did that story come out? No. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. But also that could be a theory why he wanted other guys to sleep with her. And another theory I have, the reason why, because he said the other guy said that he used to collect, they started collecting his semen and going into the other room with it. And that came out in court. She said, yeah, he likes to take the semen and rub it all over his chest and his nipples. Okay. I'm not trying to be graphic, but this is what came out in court. And everybody like, oh my God, everybody was looking at each other, not laughing, but we was like, what the hell? But yeah, that's like a kind of like a ritual, kind of. But yeah, they used to collect it and then go in the other room. And one time the guy acted like he finished because sometimes he used to collect it out of her. Like he used to let the guy um finish inside her, and then they'll quickly hurry up and go in the other room, and so he can play with it, right? So that's kind of like a ritual kind of thing. Um, thank you, Keith. Thank you for the blessing. But I'm giving you guys what was also in court as well, coinciding with this documentary. Now, like I said, some people they do what they got to do to get whatever they got to get off. You know what I'm saying? That it is what it is. But so that's what happened. She said that in court. She testified under oath that he was doing that. And I give Puff all the credit in the world because he was just sitting there, just taking it all, man. He was just sitting there, yo, in court. I would have been so damn embarrassed. I don't know what I would have done, but he just sat there and nothing you could do at this point. Everybody know now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was just kind of after a while though, we were getting tired of the freak off talk. We were, everybody was. We were over it. Like, okay, the guy likes freak offs, but he got addicted to the freak offs. Um, you know what it was equivalent to for him? He had a porn addiction, but the porn was right in front of his face. That's what it was. That's how I can describe it. He had a porn addiction, but the porn was right in real time where he could watch it. And yeah, he could watch it. And he got and here's something that came out in court, guys. He went by Frank Black. This also was in the documentary. When he used to check into hotels, he checked in under the pseudonym Frank Black. Okay. And she checked in as Jackie Starr. Okay. She was Jackie Starr and he was Frank Black. Guess what? Guess what her first child name is? Frankie. You get it? Frank Black and Jackie, Frank, Jackie, Frankie. You get it? Everybody was like, "Oh shit." Even I put two and two together. I said, "Wait a minute. Her first child named Frankie? He went by Frank Black and she's Jackie, Frank, Jackie, Frankie." Holy shit. I couldn't believe that. Yep. He went by Frank Black and she went by Jackie. Frank and Jackie, Frankie. That's some shit right there. But anyway, it is what it is. She had love for, let me tell y'all something. What else came out in court? Do you still love him? She paused, y'all. She paused. And when they said that, she paused and she started crying. She said, "I still got love for what we had." That's what she said. That's what she said. Yo, she got feelings for him still. Ain't that some shit? So, because she wouldn't have paused that long. She wouldn't have paused that long. She said she had love for the past, what we had. So in the documentary, he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's in a rock and a hard place. He's in New York. He was told to chill there to wait to turn himself in because he was under the impression that he was going to turn himself in and then he'll make bail. It'll be easy for him to make bail. But that never happened. They just came. If you saw in the documentary, the agents came to the hotel and just got him just like that. And he hasn't seen the light of day again since now. So that's what happened. The documentary showed that. But he was anticipating like turning himself in. But even then, he was trying to have control over the situation. He kept getting at his lawyers and saying, doing this, doing that. Y'all need to work harder because we're losing. He knew he was losing. But even still, he wanted to find a way to get out of it. He think he could just pay his way out. It's not happening. And then he mentioned in the documentary, oh, this person now got a lawsuit against me and stuff like that. And he couldn't believe it. And then little Rod, he had a segment in there, talking about different things. Um, he was the main thing with little Rod, guys. He took his time and on the payment of little Rod. I don't think little Rod got full payment what was deserved to him. I think that was mainly the problem there. And also, they said in the documentary, which I heard as rumor, but I don't know anybody business, but they came out in the documentary that when he used to sign people back in the day, he'll give them a upfront payment, and that's all they got. And then one time, Craig Mack asked him for money. He pulled out a knot of money and gave him $100 bill. Like his artist was broke, but have gold records out, but broke. It's crazy. It's evil world. But that he learned that. He learned it. He learned it from somebody. He learned it from Andre Harrell. So that came out as well. His time with Andre Harrell. 'Cause, he used to go to Howard, and then he dropped out, and he working for Andre Harrell, and he learned the ropes that way. And then he got with Clive Davis. Now, Clive Davis is who really taught him the ropes of being a gatekeeper. That was Clive Davis. Because Clive Davis had recognized that he had a problem, and that was who Clive Davis was going to groom. I believe Clive Davis groomed him. I believe so. Because remember, Clive Davis now, don't let him fool you. Now he's old and shriveled up, barely know what day it is, even though he does. But he was off the hook back in the day. So I believe he was groomed by Clive. That's what I believe. You say he could never dominate his mother, so found it elsewhere. Um, they said in the documentary he hit her too. I don't know how true it is, but somebody groomed him. Yeah, I believe it came from Clive. I believe so. Because there was a video on YouTube. This was back when YouTube first came out, and you cannot find this video no more of Tupac talking about how Quincy Jones wanted him to have sex with him. You can't find it no more. And I saw the video. This is not a Mandela effect. I did see the video for sure. I stand on that. And you cannot find an interview. It's been scrubbed from the internet. He said Quincy was like saying to him, "Hey, I like you, Tupac, this and that. He said, I want you to, you know, do this with me." And when Tupac told that story, he was dead in a few days. When he gave that interview, he died a few days later. Now, speaking of Diddy's mother, I've seen her every day, even in the break room and stuff like that, real close up to her. Let me tell you something about that woman. That woman, for her age, she is in great shape. Even though she has some health issues, but she still keep it together though. And let me tell you something, she's still with it. Like, she was like talking to everybody, like, out and about, and she started to get to know people faces, because we saw her every day. And they have a break room in the courtroom, like a little lunchroom area where everybody convened. And the family used to be in there. So everybody, they got so used to the family, nobody bothered the family because we got so used to them. Yeah, she's pretty. She really keeps her. So I give it to her to be her age. She keep it together. Wear her wigs. You know what I'm saying? Got her different wigs and all that. I'm not sure if she have light eyes. I'm not sure. I really wasn't looking at her eyes like that. I wasn't like in her face. It was just in passing. I don't think she does. Maybe she do. I don't know. But I know that she was really cool though. Like if you say hello to her, she say hello back. How you doing? She remember you from the day before. Hey, what's up? How you doing? She's like, oh, I'm good. She said, yeah, I'm about to go, get me let's go. She said, I'm about to go chill, like that. And then I remember when the day the verdict came out. And then after the verdict, after they read the verdict, there was some time because the judge had to decide whether he gonna let him out or not. I remember they were saying to her, he gonna get out. She was like, I don't think so. I think she was like, nah, something is up. She was with it. His mother is with it. You said I've seen her wear yeah, she might have contacts. Hey, Janet. She might have contacts. But she's real cool though. Real cool. Like you would think she won't be not talking to people. Nah, she talk. Yep. But she's with it though to be her age. She's like 80 some years old. She's like youthful. She's youthful. I can't really explain it, even though at that particular time, I think she had a health issue, a health scare, during the trial, I believe. Like, something happened, and but she quickly recovered. She was back with it. She was back with it, man. And you could tell how people eyes look. In her eyes, she looked really good. She looked very youthful in her eyes, and, she didn't walk with a walker, nothing. She was just, like, chilling, like, the whole time, and, Quincy was there every day, Justin, of course, Christian. The girls wasn't there every day, especially when Cassie got on and she started being, like, kinda graphic, the girls left. Um, the day when, the day of his, sentencing, I was there. I was there for the sentencing, and I saw Gina. I saw Gina in the break room, everybody in the break room because I saw Gina was sitting right next to me. I was having a little lunch, and, I saw the younger woman he was messing with, Gina. Yep, she was there. Yep. You said how old he looked with all the gray hair? Well, if you go Google his, mugshot photo, that's how he looked in court. Yeah, I was in there. I was definitely there, Keith. So yeah. So I'm giving y'all that inside look and I'm giving you the documentary. So what else? Do you have guys that have any questions about like court or things like that? Now you know who Jane Doe was, right? Guys, it was Daphne. 50 Cent baby mother. And let me just say this, right? Let me tell you what happened. So as soon as because they were trying to figure out when Jane Doe come in, what they're gonna do. Like, are they gonna have the monitors on? Because we were in the overflow room. The overflow room had the TVs on so we could see everything. So I'm sitting there in the back, and as soon as Jane Doe came in, I knew exactly who it was. I said, "Oh shoot!" And everybody was saying, "Yo, Max, who is that? Who is that?" And I had, they was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "Yo, that's Daphne." I said, "That's 50 Cent baby mother." He was like, because people were they were talking to each other like, "Who is that?" There's a lot of people in there, they didn't know who it was. They didn't know who it was. You think all the documentary is true? I'm not sure if it's all true. I don't know. You have to we getting secondhand information, third hand information. But what I could tell you is everything that I witnessed at the trial. You know what I felt like? Is at certain points in the documentary, you saw people outside the courtroom. I was out there. You know what I felt like? I felt like an extra in a movie. I felt like I was in a movie. It was so many cameras out there. I mean, you got used to it because you go to every day. I saw TMZ, they were there every day. And I saw how people go about their business with social media. They go about it the same way I go about it, but just on a larger scale. So I felt good about that. You said she looks like Cassie. That a little bit. They both like the hairstyle a little bit. I would have to say, yeah, he has a type. That Puff definitely has a type. And but let me tell you, when Cassie walked up in there, she was very elegant, but she looked like she was getting ready to pop though. Like she was getting ready to go into labor any day. I think that's why they had to get her first because she was just like ready to go in labor any day now. And she would go in there, sit down calmly. And I used to laugh when she used to rest her hands on her stomach. I used to, because her stomach was she was all stomach, just all stomach. And she just rest her hands on her stomach and like, okay, I'm ready. Very calm. She just sat there and answered the questions. She didn't get rattled. Um, she just answered the questions. That's it. The only time where she kinda cried is when they said, "Well, do you have any feelings for him still?" She paused on that. It was a few times she cried, it's a few times. But other than that, she handled herself well, testifying on the stand, I must say. Cassie did a really good job. She wasn't nervous. She just did what she had to do. That was it. Oh, and one thing, yeah, she just did what she had to do. But she didn't look his way, not that I could see. But he was staring at her though. He couldn't take his eyes off of her. He was looking at her the whole time, damn near not looking away. Yeah, she is tiny, but she just was all stomach. Okay. And sometimes she'll have her hair down and she was cool. She was cool. And oh, check this out. So I'm in the courtroom. This is when she was in there the first day. So I come walk. It was a guy coming. He was walking in back of me. We both walk in together, and everybody's looking at me. So I'm like, damn, did I got something on my beard? Like, what's going on? So the dude sat down next to me, and I noticed a bodyguard came in with us, but everybody's looking at me like in my direction. So then I looked at him. I said, damn. I said, did I do anything? He said, I don't know. He said, they might be here for you. And everybody just kept looking at me and taking notes. I said, what they looking at? Like, what did I do? Right. Come to find out, that was Cassie's husband that was with me. I didn't know it. I didn't know it at first. And he was sitting in the back with me because at first they didn't let him in the courtroom with her. They didn't want him in the courtroom with her. But eventually he did get in there while she was testifying. But the first day, no. And she didn't lead with him either. He left out the front, she went out through the back. So um I'm sitting in the back with him. We side to side. And everybody looking, I was like, I didn't put two and two together. They were looking at him. But I was keeping it cool. I said, okay, they just looking at me. Everybody in the court looking at me. That's crazy. Um, but then I was like, oh shoot, they looking at him because how I knew it was him when we were leaving. Me and him left out kind of early. He left out early, and I was like, I'm gonna leave too because I want to go outside. And the bodyguards came with him. And then when we got outside, the cameras is following him. And I was like, yo, that's Cassie's husband. But he was cool though. He was cool. He was talking to me. He was cool. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm good." And you know what? I think he realized I didn't know who he was, and I think he appreciated that. Um, so yeah. So that's with that. But then eventually her her husband was in the courtroom while she was testifying, and I heard that he was giving the family dirty looks, and they were giving him dirty looks back. That's what I heard. Now, let me just say something in a documentary. Tisa Tells, the YouTuber, she was in a documentary. Now, she was right about one thing, I must say. I can vouch for her on this. Diddy's publicist was handing out transcripts to people, but it wasn't just to certain people. She was handing out to anybody that wanted it. Hey, you want some transcripts like that? But she made it seem like I guess they were working for her. I don't think so, but she was handing out transcripts. So she was right about that. But why she was handing out transcripts, I don't know. I think she just handed them out to be handing them out. because I used to talk to Diddy's publicist almost every day. I used to wave to her. She was real cool. She looked like CC Peniston. That's what people used to call her, CC Peniston, right? And so I see her every day. She's cool. And then I saw Diddy's best friend, Charlucci. He used to be out there every day. I had got an interview with him too, Charlucci Finney. He the one that had the t-shirts made up. A Frico isn't a Rico. But man, it was intense though. Especially closing statements, very intense. And then when they came back, guys, and said they reached a full verdict, because the day before they reached a partial verdict, then the judge agreed to let them continue to deliberate the next day. And I told people by the time I get to court, they're gonna reach a verdict, and I was right. I didn't even park up my car yet, and I heard they were reading the verdict, but it was very intense. And then people started celebrating once he only got found guilty in the two lesser charges. But then I said, wait a minute, he could still get some time though. He's not out of the woods yet. And that's what happened. He got sentenced, but 52 months, I believe, but 50 months or something like that. And then he has an additional 5 years he has to do over that once he gets out. But also in the documentary, like I said, I didn't know this, guys. His first child's mother, which is Justin, that's his oldest, Justin, right? Misa is Justin's mother. Eric Sermon was talking to her first. I didn't realize that. The rapper Eric Sermon from EPMD. He was talking to Misa. Then and Eric Sermon said one time Misa was sitting in the passenger seat of his Jeep. They were just talking, and then Puff showed up and caused a whole big scene and swung on Eric Sermon. And then Eric said, "Get in the car, let's go around the corner." And then he said Puff pulled out a tape and let him hear "Ready to Die" by Biggie. No, let him hear "Juicy," whatever album was that. You know what I'm talking about. So he had let him hear "Juicy" and all that. And that's it. That's what they did. That's they listened to that. But yeah, he was either dating Misa or something, and Puff came along. And then also the same thing with Al B. Shore at Uptown Records. Um, Kim Porter used to be the receptionist at Uptown Records, and that's where he first saw her at. And then she was chilling with Al B. Shore, married to Al B. Shore, had a child by Al B. Shore, which is Quincy. And the next thing you know, Puff is dating Kim Porter, and he accept Quincy as his son. So it's like he got a track record of that, like going after, and then 50 Cent, Daphne, then he went after Daphne. It's like he got a track record of going after people, girls. He got a track. I don't know what that is. It's like he got a thing for that. Like 50 Cent, then he went with Daphne. You know, Eric Sermon, he went with Misa. Tupac, he went with he tried to get with who was it? It was somebody Tupac was dealing with. It wasn't Kadada Jones. Because he tried to put, I think Gene told the story. He tried to have her drink urine. There was at a award ceremony, he peed in a pitcher, and she thought it was just, I don't know what she thought it was, but she was getting ready to pour something. His bodyguard at the time told her not to drink it. That's crazy that he did that, allegedly. I don't know if he ever dated anyone in high school. That didn't come out in the documentary. Yeah, I don't know if that came out in the documentary, but I know the Eric I didn't realize the Eric Sermon thing. But you know what I thought in the documentary? I think they were trying to allude to the fact that he had something to do with Tupac and Biggie. But let me tell you something about that because they're saying that allegedly Von Zip had some money or whatnot, and they got it from Von Zip, but he's no longer living to tell his story. So they're not. I don't know how they're going to be able to tie him to it. You got to be able to tie him to it if you think he was responsible. And I think that's where they will run into a roadblock, in my opinion. Um, yeah, that's what I think. But they have to, and Keefe D trial got pushed back again. So I honestly think they're trying to find a way to charge him. Um, but like I said, if it's just circumstantial and then the evidence is weak, you have to acquit because he's presumed innocent, and they have the highest burden of proof. I know people are saying, well, maybe he might be tied to Keefe D's case. I don't think so. Or I might be surprised. We'll see. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely was a very interesting situation. They go back to a little bit of his childhood, stuff like that. Grew up in Catholic school, and they talked about City College, and they said he really got famous after the City College incident. After so many people died, and he gets famous because of it. It's crazy. Yeah, so they started the City College, and then he went from there. Rest was history. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting documentary. I binge watched it all the way through. You said Sean Combs is very expensive. You said he's expensive for what? I don't know. He did say that he's very expensive. I guess it mean he's rich or something. I guess that's what he meant. But indeed he is. Yeah, indeed he is. So what else? Yeah, man. I honestly believe they want to tie him to those murders, man, but they can't. I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Man, I was just thinking about, the the days leading up to the final arrest. He knew it was coming. He damn sure did. Craziness, guys. It was like, man, the reckoning. I wonder if they're gonna do a sequel. I don't know. What else with the trial though? Not too many male entertainers testified though. Only let me see how many only one testified, I think. That was about it. You know what I noticed this whole time? Wait a minute. Wait, that ain't you, Liz, is it? No. I don't know. You be changing your screen name. I don't know if that's you. But yeah, it was definitely, guys, it was, I don't know, Puff sitting there in court. He was like salt and pepper hair. He was just kind of like a shell of himself sitting there. He was just like kind of, he wasn't the famous person. He was just regular sitting there. It's crazy. You said, is he really that popular before he got arrested? Yeah, a lot of people knew him. He matters in that type of music. He had a huge he contributed a lot to music. He really did. How do I think his life will be? It depends on him. I don't know. He could lay low and enjoy his life. And one thing I know about this country, they like a comeback story. Well, people like a comeback story. You say he has no talent. He could dance. That's for sure. He used to be a dancer. He used to be. I don't think people will shun him. No, I don't think so. I think eventually he would just go back to just his normal life. Eventually. Yeah, I think he can, you know, you said, okay, give him that dance. Yeah, he can dance. You know how he is. Um, what else in the documentary that stood out to me? Oh, when the jurors were talking, the jurors were not buying much of what Capricorn Clark said about the her being kidnapped. They didn't buy that. And they also didn't really buy Cassie either. Because they said, well, she could have left. That's what one of the jurors says, the Indian guy. He said, well, she could have left. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to stay there. You know what he said? You know what he said though? Mr. Combs underestimated her love for him. I said, what? You said that juror, that man was an ass. Yeah, he said he underestimated her love, her deep love for him or something, he said. He was like, yeah, he can, um, yeah. And then the juror, he wasn't buying what Cassie was saying. He said, you stay around, you got the lifestyle, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. You gotta leave. So yeah, interesting situation. How the jury was thinking about this case. They didn't buy Capricorn Clark's story about getting kidnapped. Um, they thought Cassie could have left, you know. And they felt like they got it right. You got the lesser the charges. And one of the jurors said she grew up listening to Diddy, you know. And there was a time when he was shaking his head to the jury. They were like responding. The judge got pissed about that. So yeah, but that's what happened there. Diddy, man. And then Kurt Burrows, he was talking in the documentary and how he had 25% of Bad Boy, and then Puff came and threatened him to get the 25% back, to have him sign that back. And apparently, his mother has that in her name. And Kurt is I think he's currently suing, you know, you know, he's suing like that. But yeah, Kurt Burrows. I was just thinking about that. A lot of the stuff Gene talked about too. Gene wasn't in the documentary. I was surprised. I mean, you saw him walking and stuff like going by, but you said everyone lost in that scene. You said after seeing that documentary, you think the jury got it right. Yeah, the jury got it right because they didn't prove the case beyond reasonable doubt as far as the RICO is concerned. They didn't. Yeah, Big Gene had talked about a lot of stuff that they covered in this documentary already. So is Mark Curry in the doc? I don't know. I don't think so. Mark Curry, Mark Curry. No, the other guy is I forget the other guy's name. Maybe briefly he was. I can't remember. Oh, Mark is in it. Okay. Mark Curry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He the one had the gray beard. Yeah, I just didn't recognize him. He was talking most of the time. He had the gray beard and he was wearing, and he said at the end, Puff is gonna have to deal with this shit or something like that. He was crying at the end. Yeah, he said he's gonna have to deal with this. Yeah, he was in it. He was the one with the gray beard, the glasses. He took his glass off to wipe the tears. Yeah, he was in it. But it was tragedy what happened to Craig Mack. Craig Mack sold a lot of records for him. That flavor in your ear. That was a very popular song. And come to find out, towards the end of his life, it's like he got with a cult or something, like a religious cult. And he like died after that. It was crazy. He got with this cult. And yeah, yeah, that was something else, man. Um, yeah, Diddy, bro. Yeah, it's a lot of death around him. Yeah, but Gene said a lot. Big Gene. Big Gene. Big Gene was briefly in the documentary, briefly. When you see him, it was a picture, a still shot. And yeah. You said you like Gene. Yeah, Gene is cool. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to say that, man. It's maybe they'll come out with a part two. We'll see. But yeah, it was good music, you know. He made some good music. He made some hits. I think so too, Ryan. That's crazy, man. He said a lot. Said a lot. But Diddy has he has what you completely did the most. He did. You say you're about to watch again for the second time? I know. I think I want to as well. Like certain things I may have missed. But yeah. I don't know. On this that symbol. I don't know what that's a symbol of. But if you sit down and watch it, I promise you're gonna binge watch it and watch all 5 seasons. It started off, guys, with him in the hotel before he got arrested. He was sitting there strategizing, you know. Man. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. This is part 1. I will come back later with part 2 of my summary, giving a summation of this whole thing I witnessed. But I had said I was gonna do it when it's confirmed that, everything is out. Because I wanted to mention Daphne and all that. Like, think it's safe for us to do that now. But yeah, man, it was an interesting. I felt like I was an extra in a movie. It felt like that. I don't know if because of who he is, but I just felt like it was almost like a commercial. But yeah, man, it was good. Like in my opinion, it was good. It was a really good documentary. So shout out to 50 Cent for executive producing, I believe. But yeah, guys, it was pretty good, I must say. Now the colors will throw you off. The whole setting of it'll throw you off, like in the beginning, because it starts off in the hotel room. He's sitting there plotting, trying to figure out how he's getting out of this mess. And then it takes you back to his childhood. It talked about his dad, then it kind of jumped around a little bit. But it was pretty good though. It was good. You need to watch the 4th episode, Medea. Yeah, it was good. It was good, I must say. It was good. Um, he's a very smart person, especially when it comes to business. He is. He's damn near a genius when it comes to that. But he's had something else going on with him. But you said it was for something else. Yeah, I forgot. It was for something. I don't know. What's up, Medea? What's going on? You said 50 did his thing. You said, what's that chain on his neck? The symbol. You know what? I was looking at that. I don't know what that's a symbol. That's like some old Illuminati symbol. It's the trifecta. You said Sean Diddy Combs often Diddy and his legal team and reportedly sent Netflix cease and desist letter. Right. I heard that. He trying to say that was his property stolen. Some of the stuff in the court. I mean, some of the stuff for him in the hotel. I know it do. Looks like a Illuminati or something. You said fair use, and I don't know. Unless he try to really fight this in court, I don't know what's gonna happen. Diddy, man. Yeah, he definitely got himself in a situation, man. He did. Diddy. Definitely a figure in this New York hip hop scene. He definitely was a figure. You said you heard that Megan Thee Stallion case ended with a great outcome for that blogger. But here's the problem with that. I'm gonna go over this. Milagro Grams, yes. Um, they had she, paid her like a certain amount of money. But here's the thing. They might come back and go for even more money now to collect her lawyer fees. It states that within that law or something, I forget what it stated, but um yeah, she can appeal it and try to sue to get her lawyer's fees taken care of, which could be up in the hundreds of thousands right now. So even though the judge said she only had to pay 75,000, like that. However, they could go back to court and say no, she owes this much, and but yeah, that's kind of scary though. But I don't know if she would have to pay more than the $75,000. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, she's going for, according to them, she's going for that amount of money. But I don't know. Anyway, guys, I promise you I'm out this time. This will be part one. I'll come back tomorrow with part two. Thank you guys for watching and supporting. We definitely going to be back at it again sometime in the tomorrow. I'm pretty sure because I want to keep going over some in the behind the scenes type of stuff. All right, guys. I will catch you on the next one.